that Dr. Allison when you won Senior Researcher at Australian Institute for Suicide Research and Prevention, Long Australia. You make up to Mr. Barry Sanyal, Principal Investigator, Long Start Study Vanuatu, Pambayimi Komo Long Emia later on, Fanamatu Emia Start Study. And to make up Mr. Jerry Arun, the money Mr. Good long him, long Department of Public Health, Mr. Vatini Twins Law, Program Blame Law today. This time, Mr. ask him to flankest the first one, Dr. Semina with Mr. Paris Sanet. First of all, Itram to put Lumi, one and going to put Program Blame Law today morning about suicide. First time, when I'm now meaning law to talk about suicide, definition of suicide.
The definition of suicide has changed throughout history, so it's difficult to say there's any one definition, but essentially it means the intentional act of killing yourself. It's also important to recognise, so the person who kills himself must have had an awareness of what they were doing so that they understand that the harm they're causing themselves will end in their death, and they must have had intent to do this. Those are essentially the most important aspects of the definition of suicide.
Okay, when I'm now on different methods of suicide.
It's difficult to say what the methods of suicide are in Vanuatu because we don't actually have any accurate data on suicide deaths or suicide attempts. Just to backtrack a moment, suicide attempts is when a person acts self-harm against themselves but they don't die. So they still have the awareness and the intention that that the behaviour would cause them harm but they don't die. So those are the differences between fatal and non-fatal suicidal behaviour. So currently what we think the methods of suicide are here is hanging and jumping off cliffs, but we're not sure. We have to get accurate data on this before we can be definitive about that.
Okay, suppose it is when I'm now on main cause of suicide. From when I'm now committing suicide. Causes.
Causes of suicide. Okay, causes of suicide. You mean talk about causes of suicide. So you mean talk about globally, yeah? All causes where manage causes of suicide. Sorry. So suicide means have happen. Suppose you got any relationship difficulties. Or break up relationship, for example, one boy to one kid, or to realize that one strong relationship, then all of a sudden, between argument, to like one dispute, so maybe one area where you must consider one area where you must pick up, where you must look under that one maybe whole family problem, man or woman to like around the house, so you look at the solution, lohemia, to buy eating different. Might think different or boy or girls so only act differently together. So it becomes a family and we don't say one contributing factors to this and so